the Regent Park. This is you see the Regent Park located in the 1.5 miles from the hub of financial districts in Toronto. It was built in 1849 when the British and Irish immigrants they came here and they settled down. Later on, it was called Cabbage Town. Later on, it was developed or renovated or revitalized in 1950s. It's about 6 acres of land. About 2,000 families are living here. You can see the Regent Park from a social, environmental, and economical prospect. This old Cabbage Town has been renamed after the reconstruction happened in 1950s, called Regent Park. Causes of social disparities and environmental injustice are outlined. The Regent Park is located 1.5 miles from the financial district of City of Toronto. The neighborhood has multiple environmental injustice causes. Number first, the deconstruction of this community neighborhood. People were moved out or forced to move out. Dispossession took place. Due to the revitalization happened after 1950s, there was environmental consequences to this community. There was improved garbage disposal system. Natural environment was destructed by the developers in terms of cutting trees, greeneries, and building new houses. In 1948, when the city has planned to reconstruct this area and build a community, then the revitalization took place in 1950s. It has to ask the developers to buy the land and industrial areas and residences. There were a lot of consequences towards it. Number first, economic growth could be seen. Young buyers could live in the inner city hubs. The city was modernized. Gentrification also initiated because of the inequitable amount of income by the people.
My name is Apollo. Please, can I know your name?
I'm Kira.
Okay. How long do you live in?
We've lived in the neighborhood for 5 years.
Okay, so I would just like to know some stuff about the Regent Park. So, what do you know about Regent Park?
Well, it's a very diverse community with a real mix of people and now very mixed income. Different levels of education, like everybody all over. Yeah.
How does the affect the family? How does it when you talk about diversity, how does it affect the family?
Our particular family?
Yeah, like just the
Overall,
how does diversity affect the community? I believe that diversity strengthens communities.
Okay, what are the environmental consequences?
The environmental consequences of the revitalization.
Yeah.
Well, mostly just look at it. The neighborhood's been torn up for years. A lot of people have been rehoused in completely different areas of the city. A lot of the old buildings that aren't habitable for people are still have people in them. I'm not really sure what's going to be happening to them. I think there's just a lot of unclarity as to what's going on. There's a lot of dust from the construction that we've been dealing with for years. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
thank you very much for your time.
All right.
There were some social impacts due to the revitalization in the Regent Park area. You can see from the picture the layout of the building has been wonderful. It has a connection with the communities. Crimes generally has been declined. However, this community was treated as ghetto. I can say ghetto when there was low profiling, policing, and many other problems at the time. Now you can see the Regent Park from these pictures. You can identify the differences. Regent Park is now being rebuilt. The infrastructure is being improved. However, problem of homelessness, racial discrimination, gender and economic imbalances still exist because of the gentrification caused by the revitalization. There is community center which provides services, as you can see from the pictures. Services for youth, services for kids, services for gender or for females. Okay, this is Regent Park that you see it after revitalization is happened. You see a nice park for the children. You see condos here. You see pool. You see community center. And on this side, you also see some old housing. We will head towards that. To conclude, Regent Park was once neglected community. After revitalization, many things has happened. Environmentally, economically, and socially, it has positive and negative impacts. The positives are people economically can participate in the local retail stores and they can have jobs. People are able to take advantage of the resources offered by the city of Toronto at the community city center. For example, youth center, schools, education training centers, and many others. People can socialize in an open spaces available within the community neighborhood. People can interact with each others. The infrastructure is developed. The buildings are more fancy. It has negativities in terms of environment, in terms of economic and social. People still cannot afford the high rents. They cannot afford the amenities. Old community has been destructed. Families have been separated from each other because some could afford the amenities and the expenses to pay back to the developers and investors in these new buildings. Crimes, for example, drug dealers, shootings, sexual harassments, gender discrimination, and many others still exist. However, it has been reduced due to revitalization. Wastes, deposits, and dumping has been reduced. There are garbage bins. Environmental fresh air is available to the neighborhood residents or community members. People can get connected to each others. However, it is still in the phase of revitalization. And we can say that revitalization was good on one hand for the community members and bad for the old communities due to their forcing out and dispossession and gentrification resulted. Still, Regent Park is one of the famous dominated place people can live and interact safely as a community.